It's rather difficult to get along with everyone that we meet. Of course, no one says that we have to, but getting on the same page with some people can be very much an uphill battle. And in the feline world, the same very much applies. Not all cats get along with each other, and not all cats get along with people. In fact, some cats can even find it hard to get along with members of their own human family. Felines, they do the choosing. They like to control the environment, and within that environment, cats can fall in love with their favorite people, while also placing others on that avoidance list. But in the big picture, for you as a loving and responsible owner, what does it mean if your cat isn't fond of someone, isn't fond of you? Can you change it? Should you attempt to change it? Should you merely step back, let your cat warm up to you, or that someone, over the course of time? Interesting topic, and I've got you covered. Stay tuned. Let's start things off with the reasons. Why would a cat actively choose to avoid someone, become distant, or in some cases even become aggressive? Let's start with a person who simply does too much. You're doing too much, or you're doing the most, as the cool kids like to say. Cats, they want you to keep things chill, keep things relaxed. Too much physical attention, the invading of personal space, always trying to pet the cat, pick the cat up. Yeah, some felines, they're just not big. They're not big fans of folks who do the most. Too clingy. Cats aren't big on people who are too clingy. Have you ever known someone who, well, they just love to make that animal connection, let's call it, all about them? Those who attempt to force the connection. They hug and pick up animals. They pet animals almost like the animals are objects, not really actual animals. Almost like the cat is just there for their own personal pleasure. Yeah, well, and let me say, I think we're all guilty of this at some point, right? We've all done this. More than likely we have. You see an animal, you pick it up, be overly affectionate. However, with respect to this topic, whether you're the proud cat owner or just a guest in the home over for, let's say, the holiday season, being too clingy can cause some cats to retreat and perhaps, just perhaps, even become quite aggressive. The next reason that I'll talk about involves being too loud. Hello? Your voice, your steps, your footsteps in the home, all of it. You're just big and bold and you have that hearty personality. Some cats, well, they feel threatened by the big and bold. This is especially true if the cat in question is used to other people being a bit more calm and relaxed. Being outgoing and charismatic, it probably works in other aspects of your life, I'm sure it does, but sometimes it can backfire when it comes to attempting to build that trust with a feline. Next up, let's talk about scent, the way you smell. Well, it could get you a date, but it could also cause the cat to hit the happy trail, whether we're talking about your natural aroma, your clothing, cologne, perfume, what have you. Some cats can be turned off by the way you smell, and frankly, if this is the reason, if this is why a cat dislikes you, it could just boil down to bad luck, because for all of the known reasons, the known turn-offs, let's call them, and the whys involved, some are just a mystery. If your natural scent doesn't mesh with a given cat, that's really just a case of tough luck. And speaking of tough luck, let's talk demeanor. This is not about being loud or having a big personality or even your scent. There's just something that's amiss. You're putting out bad vibes to the cat. Something about you just isn't sitting well. Even the way you move could be objectionable. For example, have you ever met someone and you knew you didn't like them, but you really couldn't explain why? Yeah, well, old Garfield, perhaps he's just not fond of you and he really doesn't know why either. Moving along, let's talk about a lack of trust. Just generally speaking, some felines only fare well with their owners and the people who reside under the same roof, and that's really it. Although that's not to suggest that a cat with this personality will put out the claws and become aggressive to other people. The cat could be a bit standoffish, though, and perhaps fearful of someone they just don't know. During the holiday season or really any other type of gathering where outsiders are in the home, there's a realistic chance that your cat won't exactly hit it off with everyone. Well, some of that could be due to the simple fact that your cat is used to the same people each and every day. You, your husband, your wife, the children, what have you. Your cat isn't used to being in the company of, say, 10 other people, 10 strangers. If a cat doesn't like you, it could simply be because they've never seen you until right now. It's always important to remember that just because your cat is crazy about you, it doesn't mean they're going to instantly love or even like anyone else. And make no mistake, I'm aware of the elephant in the room, let's call it. I touched on it during the introduction. Sometimes the person that your cat doesn't like, it's not a friend or part of the extended family, or sometimes it's someone who lives under the same roof. It's not a guest, it's your brother, your wife, what have you. It could be your husband, wife, your son, your daughter, your grandma. Cats are known to pick favorites, and sometimes the person at the bottom of the list, well, your cat's not too fond of at all, and it could be family. It could be for any reason, the reasons I've mentioned, but it could be a mix of all of the reasons. Now, before I talk about a positive, a very specific positive at that, that could turn your fortunes around if you are the one on the outside looking in, let's briefly talk about your cat's past. Do you have a pet that had a previous owner, lived in a totally different environment? If the answer is yes, then some of your cat's tendencies to dismiss certain people could be due to negative past experiences, not necessarily with that specific person, but with association. Something about the person could remind your cat of a negative experience. I mentioned scent a bit earlier. The way you move, the way you speak, all of that could spark something unpleasant, something that you perhaps know nothing about. I talk often about the importance of making positive associations with your pet. Well, someone else's negatives could be the reason that a cat, just unfortunately, doesn't like you. As for an interesting positive, a way to turn this car around, believe it or not, some cats are drawn to folks who do the very least, folks that are chill. In short, folks that don't bring the drama, don't put on the theatrics during interactions, people who are not eager to pet the cat, pick up the cat, and call the cat over. This is why you often hear or read stories about someone, let's say their father, not wanting a cat in the house, and yet that cat takes to the dad over the folks in the home who actually wanted the cat in the first place. That's right. Why? Well, the biggest reason is likely because the dad was hands off, or is hands off. He wants nothing to do with the cat, and the cat now views that man as a source of peace and comfort. Now, is this true is this true all the time? Well, of course it's not, but I've said many times cats are looking for that peace. They want security and peace and the ability to maintain control. The person who is hands off, that could wind up being the person your cat adores the most. Sometimes in life it pays to be a bit passive, and it could certainly apply if you want to get on your cat or any cat's good side. Meet your pet's needs without being heavy-handed. It could work in your favor. As time goes along, start to give that cat more attention. By then, they'll have grown to trust you. Allow your cat to call the shots with respect to how they relate to you. The more they're willing to trust you, the more those doors will start to open to you and for you. Do the basics now, and you can do a lot more later. That's the move here. Sometimes it's unintentional, but those cuddles, the snuggles, that deep affection, that's best suited down the line rather than moment one and minute one and minute one. Slow and steady wins the race. The same is true when it comes to making a cat comfortable with you and earning their trust. To the audience of Senior Cat Wellness, does your cat, do they just not like a specific person? Is that person in your home? Is it the person next door, perhaps a friend who comes to visit only a few times per year? Does your loving cat have a least favorite? Your stories, your general thoughts and commentary, that comment section, it's all yours. And if you enjoyed this content, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd certainly love to have you as a member of the Senior Cat Wellness family. And until next time, thank you so very much for watching, and I will talk to you later.